Hello everyone, it's me, Monica P. Hall, aka Conduit of Healing, and it is time for our weekly messages for the collective. How was your Thanksgiving, everyone? Was it stressful? Was it good? Was it everything that you needed it to be? Mine was quiet. It actually was really good. Unfortunately, I don't know if you can see that there was a situation with the very absent magic. I won't get into any details. I'm just saying we're spending a little bit of time apart to reassess our relationship. If you want to know what happened, feel free to ask in the comments, and I'm sure that I will answer you and tell you. Just make sure you actually want to know the answer. So what are we talking about this week? Really interesting thing. Now, what we're going to talk about is the part of love and relationship that people really hate to talk about, the realistic part. For some reason, when it comes to love, people don't want to be realistic at all. They don't want to use logic. They don't want to use empathy. They want to be selfish. They want their ego to be appeased, and they want what they want when they want it. I don't know how you do that while also relating to somebody else, but hello, here we all are. All right. Before we get into the actual message from the crew, please, if you have been enjoying this channel, make sure you have subscribed to the channel. If when you get to the end of this video, today's video, make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you're commenting. I always read the comments. I always answer the comments. And for anyone who needs this, if you know someone who could really use these messages, please make sure you are sharing it with your friends. All right, so this is very brief, but very impactful, this message for this week. And the crew says, there are no guarantees in love. Risk is a necessary part of the experience. And hold on, gotta do a little phone check. Is your sound off? No, let's turn it off. I feel like this is a really good message because, again, when it comes to love, people tend to separate love from free will, and you can't do that. And what do I mean by that? Why are we talking about free will and love at the same time? It's really simple. Free will is used when you're deciding who you're going to love, how you're going to love them, and whether or not you're going to commit to that love, and how you're going to commit to that love. That's all free will. Listen, thankfully, we are no longer in a time where people are having their marriages arranged, not for their well-being or their happiness per se, but for the advantages of social status, finances, so on and so forth. People tend to marry for love in most cases on a global level. So that means we're using our free will. That means we're choosing one another. That means we're choosing to commit to one another. That means we're choosing to wake up every day of our lives after the commitment. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a wedding. It could just be two people deciding that we're going to be each other's partner, or three people, whatever. As long as there's a commitment that's been made with yourself and another or others. It's been kind of verbalized. It's been talked about. It's been agreed upon. That is what I would like to call a commitment in this context. Here's what I deal with a lot when people come to me seeking advice about love. People want to know the end of the journey, either before they take the journey or while they're in the middle of the journey. And what do I mean by that? Everyone wants to be reassured that their partner is going to stay with them forever, or that there's going to be some sort of reconciliation, or that they're going to get the love from the person they want, how they want, when they want, however much they want. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages, souls of the Terra Earth, aka Earth. No one can tell you 100% what someone else is going to do with their free will. And here's the other thing. If you need to have your love, quote unquote, locked in, you don't trust that love, and you don't trust that person to love you through whatever, through the ups, the downs, the sideways, through your growth, through your changes, through your own personal transformations. You don't trust them. Locking them into either a marriage or a relationship or any sort of commitment does not guarantee you their love. Why? Because free will. And I want to expand this a little bit, right? I want to take this concept of the expectation of being loved or having the love that you want beyond romantic relationships. I want to put it into friendships. I want to put it into family situations. There is this assumption that because we are biologically related, we are entitled to the love of our relatives. Parent-child, child-parent, siblings, so on and so forth. Nothing entitles us to the love of another person. Sit with it, be uncomfortable with it, and then accept it. I'm going to have a drink of water. No, I'm seriously going to have a drink of water. We are not entitled to one another's love. We choose to give it. We choose to receive it. We are not entitled. And people assume because someone gave birth to you, because you have the same parents, because you gave birth to someone, you're entitled to love from that person, regardless of how you treat them, how they treat you, whether or not you can be emotionally counted upon. And what I mean is, do you emotionally support that person? Forget about the financial part, right? Because you can financially throw money at a person, throw money at a situation, and they still don't feel loved by you. And why is that? Because, well, you can't buy love. You can earn love. And how do we earn love? We earn love by showing real interest in the well-being of one another. We earn love by being ready, willing, and able to emotionally support someone through their highs and their lows. We earn love by checking in on one another. How are you? You know how many times people call other people and before they can even, ask, how are you? They're talking about themselves. If you're calling other people just to talk about yourself, you don't really care about the person you're calling. You care about somebody listening to you vent, emotionally dump, maybe even, siphon off their energy, try to justify whatever you've done to yourself this time in your life. If you're not spending part of that conversation listening, you don't really love the person that you called. I'm just going to keep it real. I always keep it real here. We're going to keep it real here. Love is not guaranteed anywhere. Think about it, right? There's an assumption that every mother that gives birth to a child loves that child. Now, we know in real life, when we see the things that children go through before they hit puberty, before perhaps they're able to walk, talk, that, anytime a child is born healthy and gets to leave the hospital or what have you with the parent, and the parent chooses to take care of them, chooses to show them affection, chooses to make sure that they have a safe place to develop into an adult human being. Yeah, you can't assume that. That's a gift. Just like the child themselves, when they smile at the parent, when they, return the affection of a parent, That's the child giving a gift of love back to the parent. No one's entitled to this. And I feel like because human beings are the quote unquote civilized animals of the animal kingdom, that we just assume that love has to be given to us. So funny because it's really ego talking if you think about it. There's nothing that says that I have to love you or you have to love me. There's literally no physiological guarantee or biological guarantee that we're going to love each other. And it's not just in like, the human species. If you go look out in nature, for some reason, and for plenty of reasons, some animals actually end up rejecting their young. And then hopefully the offspring, whatever species it is, can figure out a way to survive or be adopted by, another parental figure. Notice how we have so much in common with animals that we just make these assumptions that we're special. We're not. We just have ego. We made up some languages. We created math. And, just trying to understand the world, trying to understand the universe, and trying to understand ourselves. So then we make these assumptions. And math is not very, my number one subject. I wouldn't say that. But even if you're depending on the kind of math that you're studying or the kind of science that you're studying, there's always assumptions. And assumptions are based on research and so on and so forth. But the assumptions are not always correct. And when they're not, it kind of throws everything out of whack. We assume everyone wants to be happy. We assume everyone wants love. We assume everyone wants to be loved. We assume that we're entitled to love. You see, assuming, so that when we find ourselves in a relationship where it started out that someone loved us and we loved them, and life happens and times happen and trials and tribulations happen, and now that love becomes questionable, becomes fragile, or simply disappears, we cannot assume that the person should bring it back. Hey, you promised to love, honor, and cherish me, 5 years ago, 10 minutes ago, 10 years ago, 10 hours ago, and all of a sudden you're reneging on the contract. That's allowed, people. That's allowed. Because the commitment is only as good as the people continuing to commit to that commitment. We don't want, if we really think about it, and I know, again, here goes Monica, just, poof with your hopes and dreams of getting what you want from people, without putting forth any effort. We really don't want people to be coerced, forced, tricked, deceived, manipulated into loving us, because that love will never be true. If a person has to be coerced into loving you, they never loved you, and guess what? They never will. This whole grew to love you thing, you see that in so many romance novels, movies, so on and so forth. But what are we really saying? I grew to love you. Hey, I didn't love you when we first got together, but I got used to certain things about you. I got used to having you around in a certain kind of way. And now, if somebody took you away, well, I would have to just reconfigure everything. I would be uncomfortable because I'm used to you being around. Somebody used to you being around is not the same as them loving you. And if you don't know the difference, ask your heart. I'm sure your heart can tell you. Ask the sense of your loneliness you feel even when that person's sitting right next to you. A lot of you have stayed in very sad, unfulfilling marriages because you got used to somebody. Not because there's love there, not because there's desire, not even because there's sexual attraction anymore. You just kind of got used to them being there. Yeah, that's not love. I mean, one could argue that might be some sort of phase of codependency, but that's not this week's subject matter. So we're not going to go into codependency today. We might in the future. Love is, you and I have been together for a long time, whether it be friends, whether it be family, what have you. We hit a rough patch. We are arguing, we are fighting, we are changing, and maybe not in the same ways and maybe not for the better. But we remember, I made a commitment to you to marry you. I made a commitment to you as my friend. I made a commitment to you as my family member. There's a commitment. I have to remember our commitment. See, this is what marriage vows are really about. This is what, whether it be marriage vows, a commitment ceremony, this is what that ritual really is. It is the declaration between yourself and another person or people, depending on your culture, saying, no matter what happens in life that might challenge us, tear us apart, piss you off, you piss me off, through sickness, through health, through the highs, through the lows, through the sideways, I've made a commitment to work through that with you so that we can continue to be together. So that declaration of commitment is the thing that's supposed to make you're pissed off, you want to kill, your spouse or your friend, and you're angry and you're just like, your ego's in an uproar and you just really want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, burn it all down. Fuck this, fuck you, I'm out, blah, 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 blah. It happens. The commitment that you and that person made, that's supposed to give you pause and go, hold on a second. Am I really saying what I mean? Do I want to wake up tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, for the rest of my life, and this person not be here? And this relationship not be here? Because if you still want that and overall want them and what you've built together, whatever the relationship is, then it really kind of doesn't matter how angry you are right now. You know, based on what you want the future to look like, I got to figure out a way to work through my feelings. I got to figure out a way to sit down with this person and articulate to them what my issues are, what my needs are, and listen to them about what their issues are, what their needs are, and we have to come to some sort of agreement to get to the other side of this. That's not entitlement. That's love. That's love in spite of. That is love despite of. You understand what I'm saying? So when you love somebody and you're committing to them in any sort of relationship, you are saying, I choose to love them and figure it out come hell or high water. I choose to love them and figure it out because I want to make sure that I'm in their lives, in their life, and they're in my life, and we share a life for the foreseeable future. That's not entitlement. That's literally waking up every day and choosing the same people over and over and over again. And that's why long-term relationships really are a lot of work, because you cannot assume that who you went to bed with yesterday is who you're going to wake up with tomorrow. A lot of things happen in a 24-hour period, wouldn't you say? A lot of things happen in a couple weeks, couple months, couple years. You blink, you started out one way, now you're completely different, people. Do those people still choose to be with one another and ride it out no matter how many twists and turns they come upon? Yeah. How can that possibly be guaranteed? That is literally choice after choice after choice after choice after choice. So what does it look like, right? When you're calling me up on the phone or what have you, or we're having a session and you're saying, I want to know, is this going to work? Well, what I can do and what I do is I look at where we are in the situation that you're in with the other person. And I basically kind of zoom the camera lens out and see where the energy's going. But I, and no psychic, can guarantee you it's all going to work out. And here's the thing. If you're not willing to risk getting hurt in order to love and be loved, don't bother. Don't bother. And I mean that not in just romantic relationships. I mean that in true, real friendships, not the superficial shit. Not the, oh, we're going to go to a bar and get drunk and we're only going to share the highs together. I mean, are you the friend that someone can call when they're really depressed and they're in a dark place? Are you the friend where somebody's really sick and they need somebody to help get them out of bed and take them to the doctor and they can count on you to be there for them? Are you the friend that can take criticism from your friend who cares about you, who sees you basically fucking up your life or making, self-destructive decisions, whether it be in your relationships, whether it be, with you personally? Are you the friend that can take that criticism knowing that they wouldn't say this to me if they didn't love me, if they didn't care? They're just looking out for me. Maybe during a time I'm just not looking out for myself. If you don't have these kinds of people in your life, I'm so sorry. First of all, I'm just so sorry. I'm just so sorry, because that means you don't have somebody in your life that truly loves you. And I can tell you this, if you haven't gifted yourself with those kinds of people in your life, I know that you're struggling to love yourself. See how this kind of all works together? None of this is guaranteed. Hell, you can't even be guaranteed to love yourself. You can't even be guaranteed that you will learn to love yourself. Because a lot of times learning to love ourselves means you have to deal with all the skeletons in your closet. You have to deal with the parts of yourself that are absolutely unsavory. Maybe you're a jerk, but there's a reason you're a jerk. Maybe you are an angry person, but there's a reason that you're angry. Maybe you are depressed, but there's a reason. Maybe you have anxiety issues, but there's a reason. If you're not going after that reason so that you don't have to be like this anymore, it becomes questionable whether or not you love yourself. You can't. Because why would you run from yourself if you love yourself? Apologies for any dog barking you might hear, like neighbors. What are you going to do? It's New York City. It's an apartment. But I wanted to really share this message with you, and the crew wanted me to too, because I'm always being asked to give you guys guarantees that, being in love with someone means it's a safe space. No. There's no such thing as a safe space while you're being human. The safest you're going to be is within your own self. Having a good relationship with yourself, being able to, accept the hard truths about yourself, owning your own shit, holding yourself accountable, choosing to heal even when it sucks, choosing to keep your heart open, even if it's been broken 1,000 times. Why? Because you believe love is worth the experience. It's worth the hurt. And here's the other thing. It's not like that we can actually really have a good life without love. And I don't mean romantic love. Let's just assume that you can have a great life without romantic love. And you possibly can. I mean, there's people out there who are just not interested in, sexual relations. So they're more interested in companionship. That's still love. Even if you're not having sex with somebody, it doesn't mean that you don't love them and they don't love you, and love is not being demonstrated, shown, expressed just because you don't have some sort of sexual relationship with them. But we cannot, as a species, thrive without love. And that's why, whether we like it or not, we're gonna keep showing up for it, whether it be in our friendships, whether it be with our family, whether it be with a romantic partner or partners, depending on, what works for you. So it's a risk. It's a risk, but it's also the whole reason to even do this life thing. Love is like why we're here. Because, I don't know about you, but I don't think I was born just to work for the rest of my life, accumulate things, accumulate debt, be frustrated either with myself or society or, laws, other people, ego, just the darkest, smallest, mundane things. Like I honestly, I like the mundane. I persevere through that. I am definitely here for, a good laugh with my friends, good times, great conversations, hugs, smooches, a good vibe where I can just be myself and not feel like I need to be on guard. I'm here for that, not the mundane. The mundane is so boring. It's like it's everywhere. There's going to be chores. There's going to be some sort of energy exchange. It involves some type of money or bartering or whatever. You're gonna either have to pay your rent, pay your mortgage, repair a house, or repair something, wear clothes, eat food. Like, none of us were born for that part. None of us. You know what? It's just doesn't make for a good time. We really are here for the love part. We really are here for love in all of its different forms. This is what makes us feel most alive. And have you seen somebody try to live without some sort of form of love? Think about it. Have you ever seen somebody who pushes away love in every aspect of their life? Those people are almost catatonic. They're so partially dead. Yes, I'm breathing. Yes, I'm functioning. Computers function too, as long as you have them plugged in, you know what I mean? And the battery's operating. And there are people walking around like that who are like more machines than human. And that's a different experience. It's not a happy experience of life. We need love. We need it in order to thrive. We need it in order for life to be worth living. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's not something that should make us feel weak. It just should make us feel smart. It's like, okay, so I know this is a given in terms of me having a happy, fulfilling life. Love in some form, and hey, if you're really brave, in all forms. Good friends, good relationship with your friends, good relationship with your family, good relationship with your spouse or spouses, whatever. That's the jackpot, right? To be surrounded with love on all points. With your pet. Hello, again, Magic and I are fighting. Yes, I'm a little bitter about it. But that's the jackpot, right? The jackpot is nobody's ever gets excited about, like, yeah, I don't have love anywhere. No friends, no family members, no pets, no house plants, I'm just here. Yeah, no one wants that. Because it's so boring. It's just so boring. So listen, love is not guaranteed. I know you're going to want to take it for granted because that's what the human ego does. It likes to get comfortable wherever, despite the fact that there's completely other souls involved when you're talking about a love relationship. But the moment you realize you're taking something or someone for granted, snap out of it and start making sure you're actually earning the love from the person or persons or situations that you assume that you're entitled to. Don't assume, because I know a lot of y'all have found out the hard way. You assumed you had this person, you had this situation, and lo and behold, yeah, they committed to you however long they committed to you, and then one day the commitment was broken. And you don't know what happened, and you don't know why. And again, that's a whole other show. But if you're looking for some sort of reconciliation, first thing is making sure that your commitment is always strong. And that's by recommitting to it every day, every time you think about it. That doesn't require a huge ceremony. That just requires awareness. Okay? So no, you're not entitled to love. No, there's no guarantees that it's going to work out. Yes, there's a lot of risk involved with this whole love thing. But it's worth it, because it's what makes life worth living. Make peace with it. Make peace with it. It's not going to change. I always find it's easier to do the difficult things when I know that the difficult things are part of the process. This is part of the process. Okay, so thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, if you are enjoying this message, make sure you hit that like button. But if you've been enjoying all of the messages and you want to know, like, hey, when is Monica going to be posting the next messages for the collective, subscribe. You'll get a notification in the email and everything. It'll be really cute. Okay, so once again, I appreciate you guys showing up. I appreciate your comments. Make sure you're commenting. And thanks so much for sharing. I'm going to say thank you in the hopes that you're going to be sharing. So I'm going to thank you ahead of time. All right. I will see you next week. We are very much getting into the holiday season. If you are looking for some, thoughtful gifts, I have Reiki products. I have candles, teas, I have a room spray, aromatherapy spray, I have body cream. So if you have not checked out Conduit of Healing Body and Tea, these are Reiki charged natural healing products. Please make sure you go to my Amazon store. It's amazon.com/conduit of healing, and see if I could just help you out with some stocking stuffers or some, gifts for yourself as part of your self-care rituals, or just some really thoughtful, sweet gifts for those of us who are of mindfulness, wellness, and spiritually aware, approach to life. Okay? Thanks so much. Mwah! I'll see you next week, and hopefully, Namaste.